mean, are you seeing AI systems, tools, startups being implemented that are actually reducing costs, or is it still kind of early?
Yeah, I am. I would say like I think I'm a little bit maybe more cynical than other folks in this space. I feel like my favorite joke in this is like just because a new technology exists doesn't mean healthcare adopts it. Like we still run on faxes. Like email has existed for decades at this point and we're still faxing things. And so like I know, right? I don't ask me.
Somehow, like a fax is more real than an email or something.
I mean, part of this is like, there's a certain amount of just like human to human interaction that does have to happen in healthcare. And so some amount of like written notes kind of makes sense. But either way, right? I think there has been historically in healthcare just slower adoption of some of these new technologies. I think we're actually in a really exciting place right now because new solutions through the AI boom are hitting a economic moment that is requiring innovation, right? Like we cannot continue as is. Healthcare spend is just continuing to skyrocket. Everyone sees it. We must drive that down. And so I think that there is just a significant opportunity in this moment to take advantage of some of the crisis in the economic space to say, well, like that gives us the space to innovate more. So we are seeing AI, right? On the payer side, especially on the back end, right? So like different ways that we analyze claims data, risk data, do customer service, et cetera, right? I think that there are lots of opportunities there that have just enabled us to be much more efficient. On the provider side, I don't touch that as closely, but I think there's even more exciting opportunities there, both on their like back end and administrative side, but also just in general about like, how can you get second opinions through AI? How can you actually identify based on certain criteria what might be possible diagnoses for a patient and how you can make sure that like in that meeting in that appointment that you have with them, you're being as effective as possible. And so I think that there are a lot of really interesting AI applications. I think that there's a lot of risk attached to that, right? Which is like, as we know, I mean, there's bias in both AI models and in individual humans, right? And so like, this is not necessarily me saying that they're worse, but they aren't always necessarily trained and equally effective across different population sets. And so I think that that's something we don't have as much of on the payer side because we're just using it administratively. But I do think when it comes to actual frontline care, that's going to be something that we will have to wrangle in this industry and figure out how we effectively regulate that, both from a national and a state level, and also just from a policy level at individual healthcare systems or payers of like what our expectations are.
Looking out